So guess what? You're never going to guess, so I'll just tell you. I have made this video maybe, I don't know how many times, 6 times? Maybe 6 times already, and I keep losing all my files. So I've got all the original video clips, that's fine. But I put together a video, lost the video, started again, recorded me talking, narrating for half the video, lost it, recorded it again, and then spent about another week or so writing up the second half of the script. Lost that file of the words, what do you call it? Like the thing that you put your words into, like the the text document. Lost that. And it was a good script, man. It was definitely better than what I'm currently saying and what I'm probably going to say. So I can smile now, but I was not happy. And then I lost, something else happened. So even now, I've recorded a different script, and I've edited the video so many times that the script no longer fits with the footage that I've got. So I'm starting again. And let's just hope that this is the final version of this video. You think I was making a masterpiece? I'm not. I'm just trying to share my learning process. So whatever happens next, I'm just going to post it. I'm just going to post this and hope, with my fingers and my thumbs and everything crossed, in hopes that it'll bring me luck and I do not lose any file or text document again. But anyway, welcome back to another episode in my artist study series, where I'm going to become a super mega brilliant artist by copying other people. By studying art and artwork that art and artwork are the same, by studying art and artists that inspire me. So this is part 2 of my study of the artist Basil Gogos. Now, I would pronounce this Basil as a Scottish person, but every interview or anytime I've heard anybody talking about him, they pronounce it Basil. So Basil Gogos. I'm going to assume you've seen part 1, maybe, probably, hopefully. And so you'll know my focus for this video is, what is my focus? Oh yeah, making my own, I'm not starting again, making my own pieces with what I think I've learned from the first video. Yeah, so let's start with my lovely boy, Goblin. I'm going to do my best to speed run through this and still be concise and interesting maybe, because I did drone on a bit in all previous edits, so I'm just going to take this as a sign. I keep losing every edit, that means I did it wrong. So following my learning outcome from part 1, I thought I'd start with some tutorials on how to draw a cat, but I wanted to see what I could draw first, just to have a reference of how I've improved after the tutorials, and challenge that wee fear of being afraid to draw something in case it looks bad. Just let me just draw it, and if it looks bad, it's fine, no problem, maybe I'll laugh. So here's what I came up with, and I love these, man. They're not museum quality, but I think they're cute. I tried to get all the usual cat poses down, and also realised that Goblin is a cat without fur. He's a wee baldy, so I tried to see, well, how can I sketch that then to better represent a sphynx cat in all of its beauty. Well, anyway, I followed these up with a couple of tutorials from the Sphynx Comic Club, which is a banging website, by the way, very helpful, very useful. I've used them so much recently, check them out. These were already a big improvement on my first attempt. Just understanding the basic shapes to start with for any cat at any angle and whatnot is kind of what I was looking for, and they certainly delivered. I then checked out another website called Easy Drawing Guides, which, mate, they were not easy. I tried this one cat. It was just a very different learning method from the Sphynx Comic Club, but gave them a wee swatch, maybe you'll like them. And then just grabbed some Sphynx cat images off of Pinterest, and then tried to draw them out with the tips I'd just learned. And yeah, a rapid improvement. I was buzzing. Even comparing this guy to this wee guy here, where I was trying to draw the same sketch, it just looks so much better already. So I was feeling very excited and heavy motivated to just jump right into drawing Goblin. So started sketching out a couple of headshots, jumped straight into black and white painting. I remembered this time to start with black and white, but I didn't want to spend too long on each study. I was thinking I'll give these like 10 minutes or something. I actually liked how the eyes looked when they were completely whited out. They looked kind of spooky, but while I'm studying Gogos, that wasn't his technique, and it wasn't his intentions when he painted. He said that he didn't want to paint shock characters and even turned down commissions for horror characters like Freddy Krueger because he didn't see the humanity in them. He just saw them as a shock character, which is a shame because I personally love Krueger and seen him in Gogos style. Would have been interesting. I don't know if you could make Freddy Krueger look sympathetic. Maybe I'll try it myself later or make a white eyeballed painting later. But for me, the part of the power in Gogos' portraits comes from this like vulnerability in the eyes of his subjects. There's this sort of deep haunting emotion that comes through from these otherwise like frightening characters. So I want to try figure out how to do that. So I thought these were going to take about 10 minutes, but I was actually at it for about 2.5 hours, which is way longer than I wanted to spend on it. But I stopped painting here for the night because I got invited to watch a movie that I just could not say no to. Tell me if you know what it is, but a movie about like a community of people, and they hunt certain creatures, all except one of them, who befriends one of the creatures, and then gradually over the course of the movie, they slowly change the way that everyone else views and treats those creatures. It's a banger. Let me know if you know. But I still had energy to create, so while I was watching that, I just traced out images of Goblin on my iPad, still using the techniques from the tutorials, and just to see how they played out. I did forget about the screen recording tool. Hopefully these still images will be enough. And on to the next day. I made a couple of full body studies of Goblin, and I really didn't like them at all. Like, the drawings themselves took ages. I couldn't really get the proportions right, and then when I started painting, I couldn't get any of the tones right, and they felt really flat, and I started to feel quite depleted. Like I'd already hit a wall, which felt rubbish considering how excited and confident I felt because of how well everything flowed the day before. You know, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have interrupted my flow state for a movie, but I did, so we move. I did like the second one a little bit more. You know, there's like a wee cherub, he's so cute. It looks like maybe sunbeams shining down on him, or like heavy rain pour. Whatever the weather, he was just soaking it up in this picture and in this video clip, I suppose. Aw, how could you think he was ugly? Look at him, he's so cute. But anyway, full body paintings didn't work out so good, so I thought I'd focus on the eyes for a little bit and just see if I could capture anything close to what Gogos captures when in his pieces. So I split the page to have 3 studies of Gogos paintings and then 3 of Goblin. And man, like in black and white, even in black and white, his paintings are fucking beautiful. Like there's so much more here than just dynamic contrasting colours. The textures here, the tones, the shapes, I don't know, everything. Like look at it, man, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I enjoyed the studies that I made of this. They didn't quite carry over into Goblin's eyes, so I guess maybe I either had bad references of Goblin, or I'm still not a good enough painter. That's not nice. Okay, I either had bad references, or I still haven't learned exactly how to do expressive eyes on anyone. Fuck, how do I say this? I still have a lot to learn, but I enjoyed this exercise. I think what I can take from it is that at minimum, I'm definitely going to need at least the full headshot of Goblin in order to try capture or express or elicit some sort of emotion. But the success of black and white studies was not to be continued in colour, because colours are hard. So I had difficulty deciding how to pick the colours for an original piece, so I made a wee illustration on my iPad trying to simplify the colours down to 3 options for dark, medium and light tone. I like how the illustration looked on my iPad, so I was like, I'll try a few more colours, I'll expand the colour range a bit. It didn't look good, and it knocked my confidence a wee bit, so I went back to the 3 tones and I illustrated over 3 Gogos portraits of Boris Karloff as Frankenstein's monster. My thought here, I was like, if I keep the subject the same actor, same character, just a different angle, then the studies will have less variance, so all I really need to focus on is the colours. I like these, like I think they turned out pretty cool. I like how much information and detail remains, even though the colour palette's like significantly simplified. So I wanted to give them a wee go at painting them. I started with the Goblin black and white painting, and then I did the colour study underneath, and man, this just didn't turn out well at all. I decided not to paint the Boris Karloff studies to save myself a little bit more, save myself some loathing. I thought maybe if I swap the 3 colours out, it might make a difference, so I just moved the colours one place along on the colour wheel, so red, blue, yellow became orange, purple, green. Again, like I think the illustration looked alright, but the painting does not. It looks Halloweeny, it definitely doesn't look Gogos, but it's also not well done. So the colour changing the colours wasn't the right decision. So in my inability to make 3 colours work, I decided to use more colours, because of course, surely the only thing better than struggling to work with a smaller number of items is definitely adding more, right? Right. I tried to stick as closely as possible to like a Gogo specific colour palette. But it's hard though, man, because I thought, okay, the 3 main colours of the skin here, there's like yellow, orange, green, and that's maybe lightest to darkest tones or values or whichever one. But after a few hours of painting, mine was like still looking really flat, and it wasn't as simple as just being yellow, orange, green, because there's like still a fuck ton more tonal variance within those colours. There's like 4 or more shades of each of those colours. Yeah, so I didn't know, like I'd lost the highlights and lowlights, so I painted white where all the brightest areas should have been. It started to look a little bit better, so I kind of worked backwards from there and darkened the tones as I moved into other areas. Tried to correct some paint spots that I put somewhere. Thought the green was too dark, put orange over the top. Didn't really make it look any better. I do think it looked better than the previous one, but the face was off. It's missing something. Definitely the biggest thing here was the nose shape, because it's very dark in the reference, and I didn't know how to make up the colours, but it just ended up just looking like a big sticker on his face or something. Like it's losing the depth of the eye sockets and the prominence of the nose. So I was like, time to move on from this one, but I'll keep the same face. I'll just try just the headshot, but the same colours now with this view of making the face look prominent. I think I actually just painted it exactly the same. I think I honestly used the same colours and the exact same layering. I don't know what I was thinking. Then I tried the second side. I tried to do this split with the green and blue from this Frankenstein's monster. I really love the colour and the eye sockets here, so I tried that out. Also, it was looking at this painting that I thought, okay, there seems to be a light source coming from the top, and it's hitting like the brow, it's hitting the nose, and a little bit of the other areas of the face that are prominent, so maybe I should paint that part of the nose yellow. I think it did look better. I think it definitely made it look more prominent, but I don't think yellow was the right colour. Like, maybe to show its prominence would just be using a lighter shade of the surrounding colours, but Goblin isn't yellow. But this was the trick here, because I was like, well, how do I make him look like a black cat while not using black paint? But I don't know, man, I was kind of losing my motivation, losing my confidence. I thought, I don't want to give up, but I don't want to keep going with this, so I shifted onto something new. So this is my face. And I think this turned out pretty well. After feeling embarrassed about not getting the results I wanted. I didn't want to film any part of this painting. I didn't really want any more evidence of another potential failed study, which is a shame because I think it turned out pretty good. I didn't think about a Gogos palette. I just wanted to paint as close to the reference colours as possible. This is only my third self-portrait that I've ever painted, right? And the first was in like primary school. I was maybe like 7. I then painted this double feature in my art journal last year. So already I see a big improvement in my opinion from last year to this one that I've attempted. And then I made a basic trace sketch to speed up the next few studies. I did a black and white version, which also turned out alright. The form was a little bit off, but I thought it was looking fine. I wanted a black and white reference to then use to pick like a Gogos colour palette. I think it looks a bit more emotional than the first one. It looks more like I have sort of glazed, teary eyes, which I didn't mean to paint, it just sort of happened, but I like that it looks sadder. Maybe because the brush strokes are more obvious, I don't know if that, to me it looks like it adds to like a sense of emotional turmoil or something. I don't know, but I like it. Of course, the challenge, how do I make it Gogos? So I fired up my iPad again and I went back to just trying out 3 colours for low, mid, high tones. I was trying to figure out the sections of the face. I thought, right, I'll get the base layer of the colour and then I can bring in the rest of the variants of a Gogos palette. I mean, I liked how these looked. I thought they were turning out alright. I really like the sketchy, fast-moving line work when I don't really think and I just move my hand and I don't spend too much time considering what to do next. It feels a bit more freeing. But I did see there was this quite obvious divide that are very clearly bright, medium and dark. And that made me think of the Brute Man portrait. So I started experimenting with trying to do like a full colour copy of that. And then I tried some other Gogos pieces as well, which was very fun, very tricky. But you know, this was like almost 5 hours later or something. This took quite a while, and I still didn't really feel able to make my own decisions about what colours to use. So I was like, right, I just need to start painting and see what happens. I will say I did not enjoy making this study. I really don't like the feeling of like trudging through like thick mud or fog or tripping over rubble or something. Like that's kind of what it feels like when I'm like just guessing my way through something like this. It's just not a great feeling, but obviously it comes from my lack of knowledge and understanding, and it leads to this sort of indecision and lack of direction, and I just spend most of the time trying to correct earlier mistakes. So later on, once I'd finished it, I realised I maybe should have just done the cheeks and the jaw yellow and maybe a little bit of the nose, just because I really feel like I lost the brightness of this area because the yellow went more throughout the painting. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I just pushed through anyway, and sometimes it felt like it was coming together, other times not so much. Regardless of the artistic outcome, something that I do feel good about is I really struggle to look at myself. I don't like looking at myself in the mirror. I don't like seeing pictures of myself. I definitely have some form of dysmorphia or some degree of dysmorphia, and I'm working through it just now, and I manage it mostly by avoiding looking at myself as much as possible. It's not really the best option, but as long as I don't see myself, I'm fine. But when I do see myself, I get this like really intense internal reaction, and I start spiraling, and I can start to really fixate and project onto other people how they might be viewing me or how they feel about me or things like that. So I don't really like taking pictures of myself. I don't mind other people doing it because I value capturing memories and stuff, but I just don't want to see it after. And if I do see something, especially unexpectedly, I kind of spiral. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to have these avoidance behaviours, and part of challenging that is actually why I started painting my self-portraits last year, and I intend to continue doing so. I want to overcome these issues like I have around seeing myself or being seen by other people, and knowing I'm going to post this online too, knowing that the video is going to include portraits and maybe even pictures of myself. I'm like kind of freaking out about that, but I'm eager to kind of leap over that hurdle or that barrier or whatever and also leave that behind me. So what I'm trying to say is, regardless of the artistic outcome here, this is still a huge success for me, and I will celebrate it as such. I think it's really important to find your successful moments among what could be perceived as a failure. And people kind of oppose this approach. They have done with me before. They'll say things like, why lie to yourself? yourself? Why deny the truth? Why are you trying to just make good in any situation? That's just an attempt to make yourself feel better. It's dishonest or something. And like, is it a bad thing to want to feel better? Is it dishonest to choose to find the positive? I don't know. I don't necessarily think you have to feel bad in order to get better at something. I used to, but I don't believe that shame or aggressive self-critique are effective or good motivators. But like, I'm not denying the situation either. I don't think this is a great self-portrait, and it's definitely not a good Gogos study, but it is a moment of time that I've spent with myself in order to grow. This was a blank piece of paper before, and now it's a nice wee memory of a time that I worked towards overcoming my fears and I pushed for my goals. It's maybe not a piece that anyone else would like, but I do like it. I've done it for me and I'm happy with it. So if I am the judge that decides how I feel, then I vote for this to be a success. But what's wrong with it? So I did find the hair colour the hardest part to get right. I don't know why I didn't just paint it all black or like dark brown or something like Gogos usually does. I was just trying to carve my own take on it, but it didn't really work out. There's colour theory here that I'm definitely missing. I did add some details in, like the wrinkles on the forehead, bloodshot eyes and whatnot, just to make it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I'm pretty comfortable saying at this point I still don't really know what I'm doing. I still don't have an eye for this. I still don't know how he picks these colours. But with the knowledge that he imagined his subjects lit up at different angles by 4 different coloured lights, I thought, okay, right, now is the time to just try and make my own setup. So I started with just 2 lights and gradually built up to 4, and then I changed the order of the lights and the angle of the subject. My subject here being this beautiful, recently inherited eagle lamp. The lamp part was removed ages ago, but this wee cutie remains, and I'm very glad of it. I've always loved it. I've always loved him. Her? I don't know. I've never known, but I do want to give it a name. I'll come to it. I'll get it a name later. Anyway, so I wanted to see how the lights changed the surface colours and how they interacted when they hit one another. The first hour or so, it wasn't really feeling very helpful. I couldn't get vivid enough colours. Lighting is a whole other encyclopedia of knowledge that I do not have yet. But I did close all my blinds and curtains and turned off all other lights. And I realised I should have did this an hour previous because it really helped. Yeah, like I had such a blast doing this, which is really funny to me because last year or whenever it was, I got recommended to do this very thing, to make a light set up, to create these colourful references, to make my own paintings. This was like way before I learned about Gogos, and I like refused the person's advice. I was like, I'm not fucking doing that. Like, I want to be able to pick the colours myself. It's hitting out with bullshit like I'm not a real artist if I have to make a studio set up in order to pick the colours, which is laughable, right? Because what's not being a real artist about that? It's a technique that has existed long before I've even existed. So I don't know, I was just kind of being stubborn and really frustrated that I couldn't pick the colours myself, and like I dug my stubborn feet right into the mud and I refused to move on it. And of course I was being absolutely ridiculous, especially because a year or so later when I did learn about Gogos that he would do this. He would imagine the subject lit up by different coloured lights from different angles. I fucking choked on my opposing words, and I've repented thoroughly and accounted for my defensiveness, and the person, my partner, of course was fine with it because they knew they were right, as they usually are. Something that was stumping me though is that the lights that don't just hit the area that they're pointed at, they also travel to other sides of the ego. I don't know what coloured lights are going to be on the video while I'm saying this, but say I put like the red on the lower left side, it doesn't just hit that area, it also goes to like the upper right and maybe the middle and the lower right or whatever. Like, that's kind of an issue I was having when I was trying to pick my own colours from black and white references, is because when I think about the light shining in these directions, I think about them in a cone shape. Then I don't know which colour takes precedence if there's 4 different colours coming from different angles. I don't know if that makes sense. I spent hours studying a bunch of his Gogos' pictures, trying to find if there's any patterns to his paintings. So one pattern is there's a few background colours that he tends to use. He's either got a blue background, a red background, or this sort of gradient yellow to red, orangey black type of background. There's some other ones, but those are like the ones that pop up the most. Okay, so when it's a blue background, what colour is the face? Or when it's a red background, what colour is the face? I still can't really see a pattern. It still doesn't seem like there's any sort of rule to it. I do think he tends to always mostly paints his subjects' faces with a sort of yellow, but then from that point, sometimes it's green as the shadows, sometimes blue as the shadows, sometimes it's orange, sometimes there's no blue or green at all. I just don't know. It doesn't feel random, but there's just so many fine details in his work. But I don't know if you can replicate that. I feel like these are natural decisions that the artist's style, there's like the theory of their style, so maybe colour theory, maybe portraiture, lighting, things like that. There's those things that are transferable or learnable, but if that's a word. But there's also the I don't know the term for it. You know how like everyone's handwriting's different, and you can train yourself to have really nice handwriting, but there's always going to be like a little bit of flavour that's uniquely yours. I think that's part of what you see in Gogos stuff, because even when I've looked up other people's studies of Gogos, like they're beautiful, there's some really amazing examples online, but there's still like a lot missing from it, and I think I don't want to copy that. I don't want to copy detail for detail, but it does something. The details that he uses definitely do something to create the type of images that he makes, and I want to find what's my wee flavour of something that makes my pieces uniquely mine, but still with the understanding of colour theory and whatnot to make it legible. I don't know. So anyway, my choice for the third study, I actually wanted it to be some kind of meaningless inanimate object to see if I could evoke the same sort of sympathy or create the same atmosphere or mood by applying the Gogos style to a non-living, non-feeling object. You know, I don't know, something like toilet paper or a toaster or a hairbrush or something. Obviously, I couldn't think of something. So I thought, well, is there an inanimate object that might actually have some meaning, something that would also fit into this narrative of being like a sympathetic item because of the way that it's like misunderstood or rejected from society based on its appearance or the meaning that we've applied to it. Obviously, couldn't think of one, but this ego arrived in my care just about the same time that I was working on this, so it was a convenient choice. The only thing I think that would have been better, it would have been if it was like a less revered or respected bird, you know, like a vulture or something with a much smaller appreciation circle. People don't tend to like vultures because of their appearance and their nature and their general connection to death and decay. I personally love vultures, but I don't really hear other people liking them or admiring them. Like, it's not really a compliment to be described as a vulture. They tend to be viewed as disgusting, hideous, horrible creatures that are opportunistically waiting around to swoop down and take advantage of a situation. And when they're not really, they're actually really important for the ecosystem, but you know, this way that they're viewed as disgusting, horrible creatures, wouldn't that fit so well into this project? But we do not have a vulture. We do have our lovely ego here, so that's what I'm working with. You know, I've just realised that I say ego and ego exactly the same. So maybe if I'm shoehorning it, this study can represent my stubborn ego. Ego the ego. Monsieur Ego? Madame Ego? Or is it Yell Ego? Ooh, I think we found a name for you, my little bird. So I think these went relatively well. Not perfect, but a move in the right direction for sure. So I tried to get some references of the cats at the same time that I was doing the ego photo shoot. They weren't willing, and I tried again after these last few studies, but they still weren't willing, and who can fault them for that? So I'm not sure how I'm going to get these references for Goblin, for redoing his study, but maybe I'll learn something that I could just apply to his next study. But guess who did step in and took several tens of pictures of themselves? That's right. I don't know if I'll share them just yet. Maybe I'll just show the ones that I'm using for the the studies. But I didn't freak out, I didn't spiral, I didn't fixate, didn't feel sick or anxious. I actually had a lot of fun. I think it's because I was focused on making the most vivid references with interesting shadows and textures that I could possibly make with the setup and with this face that I have. I wasn't thinking about whether I was attractive or how other people might view me in that moment. I wasn't shaming my body. The weirder I could look, the better. I didn't even brush my hair. I liked that it was shooting off in different directions. And I also really leaned into exposing my features that other people have told me are ugly, like my big forehead, my dark baggy eyes, my bum chin, my double chin, my hooded eyelids that make me look moody or brooding or saggy generally, because these features all looked cool to me in the moment. The way the light highlighted these parts, it really worked in my favour for trying to make Gogos style references. But anyway, before I started painting, I went back to the Phoenix Club for some tips on drawing faces and heads from different angles, and again I got some really easy advice for the basic shapes and lines to start with as your building blocks. So these pages, they're a straight copy from their tutorials. They're not my original sketches, but very helpful. Again, check them out. Right, so this is one of my favourite pictures from the shoot. I love the drama of it. I love the lighting and the intensity of the pose or the facial expression, or I don't know what you call it, but I plan to just paint the colours exactly as I see them here, but then I got a bit stiff and indecisive, and I was afraid of painting dark colours where yellow should be and losing the ability to use yellow later for texture and depth. So I started making a yellow underpainting for some reason rather than just using a flat yellow base as before, and then I tried my hardest to stick with using just one paint colour at a time as I moved into the darker tones in the other areas. I went a bit far with the yellow, and it was a mistake because that yellow kept peeking through every other colour I put on top of it, and I really lost the drama of the lighting because it just bled through every colour. I was also being super conservative with my paints, and I wasn't saturating my brush well enough, so each next layer of thin paint didn't really do much to change how it was looking. I was also being super precious about the details because every time I painted a new area or a colour, I took a picture and I compared it to the original image by overlaying it on my iPad, and doing it that way felt awful. I don't want to work like that. I don't want to be that self-conscious that I'm afraid to make 1 millimetre of incorrect detail or something. But I just wanted to do a good job. It just didn't help. After this study, I went to a painting class, a place I've went before. Shout out to Vine and Canvas in Glasgow. The wonderful teacher there suggested that I work from background to foreground, dark colours to light. And I know this is how you're supposed to do it. I find it hard to restrain myself. But I took the advice, so I started this same study again with that recommendation, and I got much better results. Though it took over 10 hours, which is twice as long as the first study and way longer than an entire finished piece by Gogos. So, mistakes have been made, lessons have been learned, but there's certainly been some progress made in the right direction. But I'm clocking the video length so far, so I think I'll probably end just doing a wee run through of the final look of any further studies I make after this point, including, hopefully, any actual finished pieces that might be produced before the video is due to go out. I'll also include my key takeaways, and summary of the total project hours. Yeah, what else? What else to say, really? I'm having a good time. Thanks for coming along. Any and all feedback, recommendations, stories and whatnot are more than welcome. Let's learn and grow together. Let's challenge each other, challenge ourselves. And if you're not happy with your results, just try again and again and again and again and again until you get somewhere, because you will get somewhere. It might end up being a new destination that you hadn't even thought of before. What an exciting prospect. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye. Oh, it's fucking looking cute. Check it out, man. Something's happening. I can see clear. You happy with it? Yeah. Nice birthday. Ooh.